Hi everyone, welcome back. In today's video I'm going to be sharing with you my powder foundation routine. When I did my June-July favorites, I held up a bunch of powder foundations that I liked, and many of you commented that you wanted to see how I applied that, so that's what this video is all about. And if you're interested in this finished look, it'll be part of my Rainforest After Dark video on this Tarte palette here. So I already prepped my face a little bit, and I like to do that a little bit in advance of applying the powder foundation so my face isn't like tacky before applying it, because then it can grab in funny places. But I thought I would just share with you some of the things I used. So I'm testing out the Urban Decay B6 Vitamin Infused Complexion Prep Spray. I had picked up this deluxe sample to give it a try, and I spritzed this over my clean face after I was done with all my skincare, and I kind of let that dry down. It didn't take too long. It took about a minute or so, and I'm still just only the second time I'm using it, so I don't really have an opinion of this yet, but I will be sharing an opinion of this if you're interested. Then the next thing I did, once that dried down a little bit, I added my moisturizer slash sunscreen, and the one I really absolutely adore is from Paula's Choice. It's the Super Light Daily Wrinkle Defense with a broad spectrum of SPF 30. And I've talked about this a bunch of times, but just in case you haven't seen it, it is a fleshy colored, really almost like a mousse-like, I don't know, I just love the texture of this. It's like a day cream, and it's very lightweight. If you're oily, this is a really nice one to use because it has the SPF in it. The color is not really anything that's going to cover any imperfections on your skin at all. I don't think it's meant for that. I actually think the color is just in there to help camouflage the SPF from flashback if you happen to be taking some photographs. So I wouldn't be worried about this if you're darker complexion. I think it would probably just blend in. I haven't tried it on darker complexions, but that's just my theory on that. So the next thing I want to talk about before we absolutely get into the foundation application is the brushes that you use, because I really think when you're using a powder or a mineral powder foundation, your brush selection is kind of critical. I've used a couple different brushes. I've used this old one from Bare Minerals. That's just kind of a big fluffy brush. I think it does a really great job of getting the foundation on and applied, so I do like that one quite a bit. I've recently been using this dual-sided one from IT Cosmetics, and it has a little shorter brush and then a bigger all-over application brush. And this works pretty good. I like this one too. But some of my favorite brushes are from Real Techniques. I use this little setting brush to get into some fine little corners of my face, and I'll explain that a little bit more later. I also use this multitask brush, which is just a big powder brush. And then I also use the Expert Face Brush, which has a smaller bristle and it's a little bit more densely packed. And as I'm applying it, I'll explain why I use the different brushes. So let's just get started with the application of the foundation. So today I'm going to be using the Laura Mercier Mineral Powder Foundation in Natural Beige is the color I have. I used this almost all last summer. A little bit left. I'm really just trying to use it up. I have a bunch of others that I really like as well that I mentioned in my favorites video. I really love the one from Laura Geller, which is the Balance and Brighten. And I like that it's not a loose powder, quite frankly. I kind of am over the loose powder stuff, but it does work quite well. And then I also have recently picked up the one from IT Cosmetics, and this is the Celebration Foundation. And I'm still learning a little bit more about this, but so far I've been liking that. So those are the three powder foundations that I'm currently kind of rotating between and using. But I'm going to start with the loose powder one because I think that's probably the one that is most common. And most of them come with like a little sifter inside that you can rotate this part here and expose some of the holes. And then when you're traveling, or if you have it in your bag, you can close that little sifter and not as much comes out. It helps with the mess, but it still leaks out. I don't know how that happens, but I guess, you know, it's a very finely milled powder. It finds a way to get out. And then you absolutely need the lid when you're using the loose powder foundation. And so what I just do is I tap a little bit into the lid. I don't know if you can see that. And that should be about enough. I might need a tiny bit extra to do my whole face. So I'm going to start off with this smallest brush, and I use it to go into, so I just apply a little bit here on the tip of the brush, and I use this in the areas that I want the most coverage. So if I have a blemish or these little spots around my nose, I just go ahead and work it in there. I've gone ahead and I call this concealing. It's not really concealing, but you can see the difference between these two sides, that this gives you a lot more coverage. So I have some broken capillaries there. So I like to cover them up. And then I'll go through and hit any like blemishes that I have. These are my babies. They've been with me all summer. They're gone now, but they've left nice little marks for me. And then I go in with the fluffier brush, and I just go in here and swirl it around and work the powder up into the brush and tap off any excess. And what I like to do then is I kind of focus on my T-zone area because that's where I probably need the most coverage. So I just kind of start working it in. And then I'll go in with this denser brush, and if I need a little bit more, I'll put a little more. If there's a little left in here, it just kind of depends. I think the real key with powder foundation is less is more. You don't want to have too much, then it really kind of looks cakey. So, and I just do this where I have some large pores. I really try and work it in. So I think it does a pretty good job of coverage and not getting too caught up on my pores. But as a finishing step, I like to finish off with a setting powder to kind of give that little bit more of a flawless look, and a setting spray. So one of the setting powders that I've been using and really loving all summer, I just finished it. It's empty now, and it's the e.l.f. High Definition Powder. Really like it. I highly recommend it. I think it's as good as some of the more expensive ones. But for today's video, I'm going to be using this one from Makeup Forever. It's a deluxe sample size, and I'm just using it up because I have it. Then I will probably go back and repurchase this because I really like this. I think that's great for the money. But one of the things I discovered from using this e.l.f. Powder, which comes with this little puff, and I had never used a puff to apply my setting powder before this, and I love it. Now I apologize, this one probably needs to be washed or replaced, but I'm going to just go ahead and use it with this sample of the Makeup Forever powder, and I'm just going to shake a little bit onto the puff and just pat it in primarily my T-zone. And I won't worry too much about how it applies, because I'm just applying it to the face, and then I'm going to go back in with this big fluffy brush and just blend it all around. So here's a close-up shot of, it's my most problematic area, where if my pores are going to show, this is where it's really going to happen. I feel like it does a good job of minimizing the pores and giving you nice coverage. It's not full coverage, but nice coverage. So I only have a little bit more left in my foundation routine, but I wanted to give you a close-up here at this point so you can get a good idea of what that looks like. So you may have noticed that I haven't done anything under my eyes because, oh my gosh, if I put powder under my eyes, I would look like a granny. I mean, seriously, I would probably look 10 or 15 years older than I am. So generally what I do at this point, because I want that part of my eye, my face, to be really hydrated, I would apply my eye cream now. And so I'm currently using this one from Origins. It's the Ginseng Refreshing Eye Cream to brighten and depuff. But I'm just going to go ahead and pat a little bit of this under my eyes. I really like this because it has a little bit of a brightener in it. So it does help brighten under there as well. So I'm just going to pat this in until it's pretty much absorbed. I'm going to go in with a little bit of concealer. And today I'm going to use one of my favorite drugstore concealers from CoverGirl. I swear they had this when I was a young girl. I don't think much has changed with this, but it's just their kind of creamy concealer that's on a little doe foot applicator. And I just pat that under there and blend it in with my finger. So to finish off the powder foundation routine, I always like to finish up with a setting spray. It can be the setting spray of your choice. I think NYX makes two great ones. One's a dewy finish, one's more of a oil preventative finish, I forget what that's called. And the Urban Decay to Slick is great. There's a bunch of them. I just think they're fabulous. So I give my face a generous spritz with this and let it dry down, and then apply the rest of my makeup. So I hope you found some new tips and tricks for applying your powder foundations. I love powder foundations for the summertime because they're so comfortable to wear. They're very lightweight, they don't look heavily made up, and if you're a little bit on the oily side, it's the perfect time of year to be using a powder foundation. So thank you so much for stopping by and watching this video. I really appreciate your time. If you're new to my channel, I would love it if you'd hit the subscribe button and join me for future videos. I'm also on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter, and I'll see you real soon.